Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to dive into a massive power struggle that's reshaping one of the biggest sports on the planet. It's this classic story, right? Official rules versus just raw financial power. And it's all playing out at the very top of world cricket.
So, who really runs world cricket? I mean, on the surface, the answer seems pretty obvious, right? It's gotta be the global governing body. But yeah, the reality of who's actually pulling the strings is, well, it's way more complex and honestly, a lot more interesting. And this really gets to the heart of the conflict we're digging into today. You've got the rulemaker, the ICC, they're the official global governing body, and then you've got the rainmaker, the BCCI, who are basically the sport's financial engine. They bring in the cash. So here's our central claim for this whole explainer. Yeah, the ICC officially writes the rules, they organize the big global tournaments, but, and it's a big but, the BCCI's financial muscle is just so unmatched that it gives them this incredible level of influence, an influence that can seriously rival and, yeah, sometimes even just straight up override that official authority.
I mean, look, the ICC is supposed to be the ultimate authority. That's the whole idea, right? They're the neutral body, making sure there's a level playing field for everybody. They handle the whole shebang: World Cups, anti-corruption, even the fundamental laws of the game.
But, and this is the thing about global sports governance, a lot of the time just follows the money. So the key takeaway here is you just can't get your head around cricket's power structure without seeing the insane scale of the financial gap. The numbers, they tell a story that the official rulebooks just can't.
All right, so let's do that. Let's follow the money and see where this power really comes from. And it pretty much all starts with the TV deals, the broadcast rights.
Okay, look at this number. $720 million. That is just staggering. And here's why you should care. This isn't for global rights. This isn't for a World Cup. This is just for the right to show cricket inside India for a few years. Just 88 matches. That single deal is bigger than what most other cricket nations make from their media deals combined. And this quote right here, it just perfectly shows the dependency. This is the ICC, in their own annual report, basically saying that deals with Indian media companies are what give the entire global game its financial certainty. So you see, this isn't just about India being wealthy. It's about the whole sport relying on that wealth for its foundation. And where does all that money come from? Well, it's the audience. Just look at this. The 2023 World Cup, hosted in India, racked up almost 17 billion video views. Let me say that again, $16.9 billion. To put that into perspective, that is just insane. It's that massive, massive engagement that turns into financial leverage. And that financial leverage, that turns into political power.
Okay, so the big question is, how does all this money, all this financial dominance actually turn into real control? Like, how does a big TV deal translate into a vote on where the game is headed? Well, you see it plain as day in the way the sport is actually governed. So if you take a look at the ICC's most powerful committees, the ones making the big decisions, you see exactly how it works. You've got key figures from the BCCI, like Jay Shah, right there in these really important positions. And that makes sure that India's voice isn't just one among many. It's absolutely central to decisions on everything from scheduling to rule changes. And this is the big one, how all that money gets shared among all the other countries. And listen, this isn't something new. This has been the pattern for a while now. If you go back about a decade to 2014, some big structural changes happened. And what was the result? Narayanaswamy Srinivasan from the BCCI became the first ever chairman of the ICC. That really set the precedent. It showed that top Indian administrators taking the top jobs inside the ICC's own house wasn't just a fluke. It was becoming the new reality. Okay, let's look at a perfect real-world example. What happens when the official governing body, the ICC, and its most powerful member, the BCCI, actually disagree on something big? This case study shows you the very real limits of the ICC's authority. So this story comes straight out of the ICC's own financial reports, and it's fascinating. Back in 2016, India hosted the World T20. A tax issue pops up for almost $24 million. So the ICC, following its own rules, holds back that money from the BCCI's share. But what happens? The BCCI disputes it. And the result? Years have gone by and the whole thing is just stuck in a stalemate. The legal proceedings haven't even begun. And this is the crucial point right here. Having rules on paper is one thing.
Being able to actually enforce them is something else entirely. When your most powerful, most wealthy member says, nope, we dispute that, even the global governing body can get locked in a stalemate that lasts for years.
And if you thought that was complicated, this whole power dynamic is now being, well, supercharged by something new. A force that's totally changing the game. The absolute explosion of private T20 franchise leagues. And yeah, a lot of them have very strong financial ties that lead right back to India. What we're seeing now is this massive shift to club over country. Your top players are actually starting to say no thanks to their national contracts so they can go play in these incredibly lucrative franchise leagues. And can you blame them? A few weeks of work in one of these tournaments can make them way more money than playing for their country for an entire year. So you're getting this free market where private cash, not national duty, decides where the talent goes. And that just concentrates even more power with the wealthiest league.
Like one analyst put it, and it's a pretty stark way to say it, cricket might be heading for a law of the jungle. A real survival of the fittest situation where the richest leagues and the richest boards get to call all the shots. They decide the schedule, they get the players, and they basically control the future of the whole sport.
So this all leaves us with one last really big question. With all this private money reshaping cricket faster than ever before, can the ICC actually change its own rules to keep the global game balanced? Or is the sheer financial gravity of one single country and its powerful leagues just going to become the only rule that really matters in the end?